The moment the words left Benjamin's mouth, my entire world tilted on its axis. "I'm proposing to Sarah this weekend," he said casually, stirring his coffee as if he hadn't just driven a knife through my chest. We were sitting in our usual corner booth at the little cafe in Williamsburg, the one we'd been coming to since college graduation 5 years ago. Sunlight streamed through the windows, illuminating the dust motes dancing in the air, but all I could see was the future I had secretly hoped for slipping away. "Jasper," I told myself, "keep it together. You've been doing this for years, smiling when your best friend talked about girls, laughing at his jokes about settling down. But this time it was different. This time it was real." Benjamin looked at me expectantly, his warm brown eyes searching my face for the congratulatory response he deserved. My best friend since freshman year at NYU, the guy who had been my rock through everything. The one whose laugh could light up the darkest days. The one I had fallen in love with somewhere between late-night study sessions and weekend road trips upstate. "Wow, man. That's huge," I managed to say, forcing my voice to sound steady. My hands gripped the mug so tightly I thought it might crack. "Sarah's great. You two seem really happy." The lies tasted bitter on my tongue. Sarah was great, kind, smart, successful in marketing. She made Benjamin smile in a way I never could, or at least that's what I told myself every night when the apartment felt too quiet and my thoughts turned to him. Benjamin grinned, that boyish smile that always made my heart skip. "Thanks, Jazz. Your support means everything. I wanted you to be the first to know. You're like a brother to me." Brother. The word hit like a punch. If only he knew how far from brotherly my feelings were. How many nights I had lain awake replaying moments. The way his hand lingered on my shoulder a second too long. The deep conversations about life and dreams that felt like more than friendship. But I had always been the one who hesitated. Always the one afraid of what admitting it would mean for our friendship, for my family back in Ohio who still asked when I was going to bring home a nice girl, for the world that wasn't always kind to men like me. As Benjamin continued talking about the proposal plan, the ring he picked out, the restaurant reservation, how he wanted me to be his best man, I nodded along, my mind racing back to the beginning. It had started innocently enough in our dorm room. Benjamin was the outgoing pre-law student from California, confident and easygoing. I was the quiet art major from a small town, struggling to fit in. He took me under his wing, invited me to parties, helped me with my social anxiety. Over time, our friendship became the most important relationship in my life. There were signs, of course. Moments when the air between us felt charged. Like that night after finals when we shared a bottle of cheap wine on the roof, and he told me I was the only person who really understood him. Or the time we got caught in a rainstorm during a camping trip and had to share a sleeping bag for warmth. I had felt his heartbeat against my back and wondered if he felt the same pull. But I never said anything. I dated girls sporadically to convince myself and everyone else that I was normal. Each relationship felt empty, a performance I was tired of giving. Now, at 28, with a decent job as a graphic designer and an apartment in Brooklyn, I was still hiding. My parents called every Sunday, asking about my love life in that hopeful tone that made me feel guilty. "Any special someone, Jasper?" my mom would say. I always changed the subject. Coming out seemed impossible. The stories I read online about families disowning their sons, the subtle discrimination at work where promotions went to the normal guys, it all kept me silent. And Benjamin was the biggest reason. Losing him was not an option. "Earth to Jasper," Benjamin said, waving his hand in front of my face. "You okay? You look like you just saw a ghost." I blinked, forcing a laugh. "Yeah, just thinking about how far we've come. From broke college kids to this. I'm happy for you, Ben." Really, the words burned. As we stood to leave, he pulled me into a quick hug, his familiar cologne filling my senses. "Love you, man," he said. I wondered if he meant it the way I did. Walking home through the busy streets, the city noise faded into the background. My mind replayed every shared memory, every moment I had pushed down the feelings. The hesitation had cost me. And now, with Benjamin about to commit to someone else, I felt the weight of all the unsaid words crushing me. Little did I know that this was only the beginning of everything changing. I spent the rest of the afternoon at my desk in the open plan office, staring at a half-finished logo design for a new client. My coworker Mia noticed something was off. You look like you lost your best friend, she teased, sliding a coffee across the partition. I forced a smile. Just tired. Long week. She shrugged and went back to her screen, but the comment lingered. Lost my best friend. That's exactly what it felt like. By evening, I was back in my apartment, the one Benjamin had helped me move into 2 years ago. The walls were covered with prints from our trips, photos of us laughing at concerts or hiking. I picked up the frame from our graduation day, his arm around my shoulders, both of us beaming. How had I let fear steal so many years? The phone rang. It was my mom. Jasper, honey, your father and I are coming to the city next month for that family reunion. We can't wait to meet whoever you're seeing these days. Her voice was warm, full of expectation. I swallowed hard. Yeah, Mom. Looking forward to it. Hanging up, I sank onto the couch. The proposal news echoed in my head. Sarah, the woman who would get the life I had secretly dreamed of with him. I grabbed my jacket and headed out into the night, the cool Brooklyn air doing nothing to clear the storm inside. I walked until my feet ached, passing couples holding hands under the streetlights. Every laugh, every touch reminded me of what I had denied myself. By the time I reached the bridge overlooking the East River, the city lights sparkled like distant stars. I pulled out my phone, thumb hovering over Benjamin's name. One message, one confession, but the words wouldn't come. Hesitation, my old enemy, held me back again. I turned and headed home, the weight heavier than ever. Tomorrow I would figure it out. Tomorrow I would stop hiding. But deep down, I knew tomorrow might be too late. The next morning brought no clarity, only a pounding headache and the same knot in my stomach. I dragged myself to the office, determined to bury the turmoil and deadlines. The design team was buzzing about a big pitch, but my focus kept drifting to the calendar on my desk. Friday, the day Benjamin planned to propose. I checked my phone for the 100th time. No messages. Maybe he had changed his mind. Maybe Sarah had said no. The thought sent a guilty spark of hope through me, quickly drowned by shame. What kind of friend wished failure on his best friend's happiness? At lunch, I met my college buddy Tyler for sandwiches in the park. He had always been the one who suspected something. You and Ben still thick as thieves? He asked, wiping mustard from his chin. I nodded, staring at the pigeons pecking at crumbs. He's proposing to Sarah this weekend. Tyler's eyebrows shot up. Whoa, you good with that? His tone carried layers I didn't want to unpack. Of course. He's happy. The lie slipped out too easily. Tyler leaned back on the bench. Remember that trip to the Hamptons junior year? The way you two looked at each other when you thought no one was watching. Man, I always wondered. Heat rushed to my face. It wasn't like that, but it was. That weekend, after too many beers around the bonfire, Benjamin had pulled me aside to watch the waves. You're the only one who gets me, Jazz, he had said, his voice soft. I had changed the subject, heart racing. Now Tyler's words hung between us like an accusation. If you say so, he replied, letting it drop. Back at work, the afternoon dragged. I sketched logos mechanically, my mind replaying every missed opportunity. The time Benjamin had asked if I was seeing anyone serious, and I had laughed it off. The night he came out to me as questioning his own feelings, and I had shut down the conversation with a joke. My hesitation had built walls I could no longer climb. By 5 o'clock, I couldn't take it anymore. I texted Benjamin. Free for a drink tonight? Need to talk. His reply came quick. Sure, usual spot at 8. Everything okay? I didn't answer. At the bar, the dim lights and low hum of conversation did little to calm my nerves. Benjamin arrived looking sharp in his button-down, fresh from the office. Hey, stranger, he said, clapping my shoulder. We ordered beers and settled into our usual rhythm, talking about work and weekend plans. But every laugh felt forced on my end. Finally, after the second round, I blurted it out. Ben, about the proposal. He set his glass down. Yeah? You think it's too soon? I swallowed. No, it's just. Are you sure? About Sarah? His eyes narrowed slightly. What's going on, Jazz? You've been weird since yesterday. The words stuck in my throat. I could tell him now. Tell him that every time he smiled at me, my world lit up. That I had loved him for years, but fear kept me silent. Instead, I shrugged. Just looking out for you, man. Marriage is big. He relaxed, smiling again. I know. But she's the one. I can't wait forever. The phrase hit hard. Can't wait forever. How many times had I made him wait without knowing? We parted with another hug, and I watched him walk away into the night. Back home, I paced the living room. The hesitation was killing me. I grabbed my laptop and started typing a letter I would never send. Dear Benjamin, I've been in love with you since the day you helped me carry that ridiculous couch up 3 flights of stairs. I deleted it all. The next day dragged into Thursday. I called in sick, spending the hours staring at old photos on my phone. There was one from our first Thanksgiving together, my family visiting, and Benjamin charming them all. Mom had pulled me aside later. He's such a nice young man. You two are like brothers. Brothers again. I wondered what she would say if she knew the truth. That evening, a text from Benjamin. Rehearsal dinner tomorrow night if you can make it. Want you there? I replied yes before I could overthink. The decision felt like a step forward, even if I didn't know where it led. As I lay in bed, the city sounds filtering through the window, I made a silent promise. Tomorrow I would find the courage. Tomorrow I would stop the hesitation. But deep down, doubt whispered that tomorrow might never come. Friday arrived with gray skies matching my mood. I dressed carefully, choosing the blue shirt Benjamin once said brought out my eyes. The rehearsal dinner was at a cozy Italian place in Manhattan, Sarah's family and close friends filling the room with laughter and clinking glasses. I arrived late, slipping into a seat near the back. Benjamin spotted me immediately, waving me over with that familiar grin. Glad you made it, Jas. Means a lot. Sarah hugged me warmly. You're family to us already. The words twisted like a knife. As toasts began, I watched Benjamin stand, raising his glass. To the woman who makes every day brighter. Everyone cheered. I forced a smile, my chest tight. After dinner, the group moved to the lounge area. I pulled Benjamin aside near the coat check. Can we talk outside for a minute? He followed me to the sidewalk, the cool air a relief from the stuffy room. What's up? You've been off all week. My heart hammered. This was it. Ben, I need to tell you something. Something I've been holding back for years. He waited, eyes curious. Before I could continue, Sarah appeared. There you are. Photo time. The moment shattered. We posed for pictures, my arm around his shoulder feeling both right and wrong. Later, as the night wound down, I overheard Sarah telling her sister, Benjamin's best friend is so sweet. Like a brother to him. The word again. I left early, hailing a cab through the rain that had started falling. At home, I stared at the ceiling, replaying the almost confession. My phone buzzed. A message from my sister. Mom and Dad can't stop talking about the reunion next month. Bring anyone special. I tossed the phone aside. The next morning, Benjamin called early. Hey, everything okay last night? You seemed distracted. I lied again. Just tired. Big day for you tomorrow. He laughed. Yeah, nervous as hell. Wish me luck. Hanging up, I knew I had to act. I spent the day wandering Central Park, watching families and couples. A gay couple holding hands nearby caught my eye. They looked happy, unburdened. Why couldn't I have that? The hesitation rooted in years of fear felt like chains. By afternoon, I made a decision. I would go to the proposal spot tomorrow and stop it. Tell him everything. The thought terrified and thrilled me. Evening brought a surprise visit from Tyler. Heard about the proposal. You holding up? We sat with beers on the fire escape. I opened up a little. I think I love him, Ty? Always have. Tyler nodded slowly. Figured as much. What are you gonna do? Tell him. Before it's too late. He clapped my back. About time. Don't hesitate anymore. His words echoed as he left. Sunday morning dawned bright. I dressed and headed to the restaurant Benjamin had mentioned, hard in my throat. Arriving early, I waited across the street. Through the window, I saw him set up the ring, nervous but excited. Sarah arrived, beautiful in her dress. I stepped forward, but froze at the door. The hesitation returned full force. What if he rejected me? What if it ruined everything? I turned away, walking blocks until my legs burned. Back home, the text came. She said yes. Can't believe it. Best day ever. I stared at the screen, tears blurring the words. The proposal had happened. My chance had slipped through hesitant fingers once more. The days that followed blurred into regret. Work suffered. My boss noticed. Everything all right, Jasper? I nodded, but inside I was breaking. A call from Mom only added pressure. We can't wait to see you and meet your special someone at the reunion. I hung up feeling hollow. Benjamin invited me for celebration drinks midweek. I went, smiling through the pain. Congrats again, I said, clinking glasses. He noticed my mood. You sure you're happy for me? I hesitated. Of course. But the lie felt heavier than ever. As we parted, he hugged me tight. You're the best, Jazz. Don't know what I'd do without you. The words cut deep. Without me hesitating, maybe things would be different. The family reunion loomed closer. My parents arrived in the city, full of questions. Still no girlfriend? Dad asked over dinner. I dodged as usual. Benjamin joined for one night, charming them as always. Watching him laugh with my family, I realized the secret was eating me alive. One misunderstanding too many, one hesitation too long, and I was losing the man I loved to a life I could never share. The turning point came unexpectedly at the reunion picnic in the park. A cousin asked about my love life in front of everyone. Benjamin joked, Jasper's married to his work. The laughter stung. Later, alone with him, I almost spoke. But the words died again. That night, the secret started to crack. The reunion picnic stretched into the afternoon, laughter echoing under the trees in Central Park. My extended family had flown in from Ohio, turning the event into a full-blown celebration with checkered blankets and homemade potato salad. Benjamin fit right in, tossing a frisbee with my cousins and charming my aunts with stories from law school. I watched from the sidelines, nursing a soda and the growing ache in my chest. Jasper, when are you going to settle down like your friend here? Aunt Linda asked, patting my knee. The question landed like a weight. I mumbled something about focusing on career, but Benjamin caught my eye across the blanket, his expression softening with that familiar concern. Later, as the sun dipped lower, a misunderstanding unfolded that would change everything. My cousin Mike, who had always been the nosy one, pulled me aside near the barbecue. Dude, you and Ben are practically attached at the hip. You sure there's nothing going on? I laughed it off, but Mike wouldn't drop it. Come on, the way you look at him sometimes. It's cool if you're gay, you know. The word hung in the air. Before I could respond, Benjamin walked up, catching the tail end. What's cool? Mike clapped him on the back. Just saying Jasper here might have a secret admirer thing going. Benjamin chuckled, but his eyes flicked to me with a new intensity. The moment passed, but the seed was planted. That evening, back at my parents' hotel room, the pressure mounted. Dad cornered me. Son, we love you no matter what, but it's time to think about family. A wife, kids. Like Benjamin's doing. Mom nodded along, her eyes hopeful. I excused myself early, the secret burning hotter. Benjamin texted later. That was fun today? Your family's the best. Everything good, I replied vaguely, the hesitation keeping me from opening up. The next day at work, the betrayal hit. Tyler called me during lunch. Hey, man, Mike texted me after the picnic. He thinks you might be into Ben. I told him to mind his business, but word might spread. My stomach dropped. The secret was leaking, and my own hesitation had left me unprepared. That night, Benjamin showed up at my door unannounced, concern etched on his face. Jazz, talk to me. You've been distant since the proposal news. Is it about what Mike said? I invited him in, heart racing. We sat on the couch, the same one we'd assembled together years ago. Ben, the words caught. He waited patiently, as always. Whatever it is, I'm here. But instead of confessing, I deflected. Just stressed about work. He sighed, disappointment flashing briefly. Okay, but I'm worried about you. As he left, I felt the rift widening. The following week brought more strain. My boss pulled me into a meeting. Jasper, your focus has been off. Everything personal okay? I assured him it was, but the societal pressure at the firm where image mattered felt suffocating. Colleagues whispered about promotions and family men getting ahead. At home, another call from Mom. Your cousin Mike mentioned something odd. Are you sure there's nothing you want to tell us? The secret was unraveling. Benjamin invited me to help pick wedding venues, but I declined, citing a deadline. The misunderstanding grew when Sarah mentioned over coffee that Benjamin seemed distracted lately. He talks about you all the time, Jasper. Like you're his real partner in crime. Her words were innocent, but they stung. I smiled through it, the hesitation preventing any truth. The major turning point came at a group dinner with friends. Tyler, trying to help, brought up old college stories. Remember when you two almost kissed during that dare? The table laughed, but Benjamin's face went serious. Later, outside, he confronted me. Jas, what's really going on? Are you upset about me getting married? I hesitated again, mumbling excuses. He walked away frustrated. I can't keep guessing, man. That night, alone, I broke down. The betrayal wasn't from others anymore. It was my own silence. The next morning, my parents called for an emergency visit. We heard rumors, son, about you and Benjamin. The secret was out, and the consequences crashed down. Family expectations clashed with my hidden truth. I drove to Benjamin's apartment, ready at last. But he wasn't alone. Sarah was there, planning details. I left without speaking. The sacrifice loomed. I would push him away to let him have the normal life everyone expected. But the pain was unbearable. Days blurred as I avoided calls. Benjamin left voicemails. Jas, whatever it is, we can fix it. The emotional weight grew, leading to the climax I feared most. Avoidance became my new normal. I threw myself into work, staying late at the office to avoid the empty apartment and the constant buzz of my phone. Benjamin's messages piled up, concerned, then frustrated, then quiet. I miss my best friend, the last one read. It tore at me, but the hesitation that had defined my life now felt like a shield against further pain. My family reunion fallout lingered. Mom left voicemails about figuring things out together, her voice laced with confusion and love. Dad was quieter, his traditional expectations hanging unspoken. I knew the rumors from Mike had reached them fully now, twisting my identity into something they struggled to accept. The societal pressure mounted too. At a team meeting, a colleague made a casual joke about modern families, eyes flicking my way. I laughed along, but inside I crumbled. The turning point arrived unexpectedly at the engagement party 2 weeks later. Benjamin had invited me personally, his text simple, "Please come, Jas. It wouldn't be the same without you." I showed up at the elegant venue overlooking the Hudson, dressed in my best suit, heart pounding. The room sparkled with lights and laughter, Sarah radiant beside him. Benjamin pulled me into a hug the moment he saw me. "Glad you're here." We talked briefly, the air thick with unsaid words. Then, during a quiet moment on the terrace, I couldn't hold back anymore. "Ben, I have to tell you. I've been in love with you for years. That's why I've been distant." My hesitation. It cost me everything. He stared, shock rippling across his face. "Jas, why now? Why didn't you say something?" Before I could explain, Sarah approached, sensing the tension. A misunderstanding exploded when she asked if everything was okay. Benjamin hesitated himself, glancing between us. "We need a minute." She walked away hurt, and in that instant, the betrayal felt mutual. Friends noticed the shift. Tyler pulled me aside. "You finally told him?" "About time, but man, the timing." The party continued, but the atmosphere had changed. Benjamin found me later by the railing. "This is a lot, Jas. I waited so long for a sign. But now, I'm engaged." His words cut deep, the sacrifice he had made by moving on clear in his eyes. I nodded, tears threatening. "I know. I pushed you away with my fear. Family, society, it all scared me." He placed a hand on my shoulder, the touch electric. "You've always been more than a brother to me too. But I can't undo this." The emotional climax built as we stood in silence, the city lights reflecting on the water. I made a decision in that moment, to sacrifice my chance for his happiness. "Be happy, Ben. That's all I want." I walked away, leaving him standing there. The days after were a blur of regret and growth. I came out to my family over a tense video call. Mom cried. Dad was silent at first, but they promised to try. Acceptance started small, with questions instead of expectations. At work, I focused on new projects, the societal weight lifting slightly as I stopped hiding. Benjamin reached out once. Sarah and I talked. She understands there's history, but the rift remained. I threw myself into therapy, unpacking years of hesitation and its consequences. The major shift happened when I realized true love meant letting go sometimes. Yet the pain lingered, pushing me toward real change. Friends like Tyler stood by me, loyal through the rifts. The journey toward self-acceptance had begun, but the cost felt immense. Weeks turned into months, each one a step in my slow transformation. Therapy sessions peeled back layers of fear, revealing how hesitation had shaped not just my love for Benjamin, but every relationship in my life. I started volunteering at an LGBTQ center in the city, sharing my story anonymously at first, then with growing confidence. The community welcomed me, their stories mirroring my own struggles with family expectations and societal judgment. One evening, after a group meeting, I walked the Brooklyn streets feeling lighter. My parents had visited again, this time with open arms. "We love you, Jasper. Whoever you are," Mom had said, hugging me tight. Dad even asked about Benjamin, his tone careful but sincere. Acceptance was a process, but it was happening. Benjamin's wedding date approached, invitations arriving in elegant envelopes. I RSVP'd no, the decision a final act of sacrifice. He called the night before the ceremony. "Jazz, I wish you were there. You've been my best friend through everything." His voice cracked slightly. "I hope you find what I have." I wished him well, hanging up with tears streaming. The next day, I spent alone in the park where our friendship had deepened years ago. Memories flooded back, laughs, silences, the almosts. The misunderstanding at the party, the leaked secret, the family confrontation, all had forced me to face myself. Growth came in quiet moments. I dated tentatively, a kind man from the center named Alex who understood the journey. It wasn't Benjamin, but it was real. Societal pressures eased as I advocated openly at work, earning respect instead of whispers. The emotional resolution built to its peak one rainy afternoon when Benjamin appeared at my door, soaked and serious. The wedding. I couldn't go through with it. Sarah deserves someone whose heart is fully hers. Mine never was. Shock rooted me. He stepped inside. "Your confession changed everything, Jazz." I realized I'd been waiting too, hiding behind what everyone expected. We talked for hours, the air clearing of years of hesitation. Misunderstandings dissolved into honesty. He had sacrificed his planned future for truth, just as I had. The climax washed over us in waves of relief and fear. "What now?" I asked. He smiled, taking my hand. "Now we try. No more waiting." Our first real kiss felt like coming home, tender and full of promise. Family adjusted over time, my parents meeting Benjamin anew with cautious warmth. Society's gaze softened as we walked hand in hand in the city. The journey wasn't perfect, old doubts surfaced, but actions defined our growth. We built a life together, supporting each other through challenges. True acceptance bloomed from the ashes of hesitation. Looking back, the pain had forged something unbreakable. Benjamin and I stood on that same bridge months later, the glowing skyline witness to our second chance. The hesitation that once cost everything now taught the value of courage. Yet as we watched the lights flicker, one question lingered in my mind. True or false? Once you hesitate too long in love, the opportunity is lost forever?